Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to George Croft's American Music Show. Our guest today is Grammy-winning songwriter Don Henry, and Don is one of my favorite people on the planet. He's worked for Ray Charles, Patti Page, Conway, Twitty, Gene Watson, John Conlee, Lonestar, Blake Shelton, Miranda, Lambert, Kathy Mattea, and a long list of others. Don has been writing songs in Nashville for decades, and he's just a jewel of the industry. And so if you want to check out Don's work, you can go to followingrecords.com or donhenry.com and reach out to him for shows and for upcoming stuff he's got going on. He will be this weekend, February 7th, playing at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. So for all our Nashville friends, going out and give Don some love. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Don Henry. So, Mr. Don Henry, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, George.
Appreciate you being here. So, we've gotten to hang out a little bit the last couple of days, but I would love to know more about kind of your origin story. So I know, we're from the same town.
Yes, we are.
So so what was that like growing up in Morgan Hill and then the jump to Nashville? Like how'd you start off?
It was simpler for me because my father was a musician and that's what he did for a living. It wasn't a part-time job, it was a full-time job. Oh, wow. He played sessions, played nightclubs, did whatever lessons, whatever he did to and he was one of those musicians who could play anything you put in front of him.
Oh man.
So it was always around the house. It was not, the idea of moving to Nashville someday was not alien like it would be to most people or most people's families. So, he never pushed me into it, but I was I have all my little records from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I loved songs and I would write poetry.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I would rewrite lyrics to like Jim Croce songs or something and write my own lyrics to them because I didn't know how to write melodies or I didn't play an instrument.
Oh.
And finally I thought, well, I better learn how to play if I'm going to keep doing this. I bought that Paul Simon songbook and I was off and running.
Oh, nice.
But my dad, he called me in. He was getting ready for a gig at Cowtown in San Jose. That's where he worked.
Oh, wow.
He was getting ready at nighttime. He's in there shaving, He goes, "Hey, Donald, come here for a minute." I said, "What?" He goes, "Your mom says you've been writing songs." I said, "Well," he goes, "Play me a couple." So I played him a couple songs and he never looked back. He goes, "People do that for a living." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, if you're interested, I'll take you out to Nashville someday if you want to go." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's the deal though. When you come home from school, from football practice or basketball or baseball, whatever season it was," he said, "you have to go in your room, lock the door for an hour and write every day." Because that's what they do in Nashville.
Oh, man.
They write longer than an hour, but they write every day. And I said, "Okay." And I was one of those guys who forgot to take the trash out all the time, but I remembered to come home and write every day. So that was easy. By the time he knew people in Nashville. He played on sessions in Nashville and stuff like that.
Wow.
So he just said, "When you're ready, let me know." And I worked for a few months out of Live Oak, where we both.
Graduated. Oh yeah.
I got through high school fine, but the whole time since I was about 12 years old, I knew I was going to Nashville. So it was, for me, it was a waiting game.
Yeah, just sharpen it up for your chance to go. Yeah,
absolutely. And then he hauled my car out there after I worked in a music store for 9 months, saved enough money, and he said, I called him. I said, "I'm ready." He goes, "Okay." He hauled me out to Nashville.
Man, so how did he? You guys lived in Morgan Hill and kind of San Jose and there. How did he? Was he going to L.A. a lot, in Nashville, and kind of?
Well, no. It's an interesting story why he's even in California because he was born and raised in Tennessee. He was a real honest to goodness hillbilly up in the mountains. He's from Pfeiffer Mountain, which, by the way, the place he was born is now a friend of mine owns that property. A guy named Randy Mansell, and has built a amphitheater.
Oh wow!
And called it the Hoyt Henry Performance Hall.
Wow! In
honor of my dad.
That's pretty cool.
So you can see for miles from that top of that mountain, just all the hills. It's gorgeous. But anyway, he was raised up there on the mountain and he played the fiddle. That was his first instrument. When they were kids, their little quartet got to play on the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh wow! So
all this stuff was, and then at some point his oldest brother had some personal issues in California that he needed help with. So the whole family moved to California.
Whoa!
And this is back before there was a I-40.
Yeah, that's
and my grandfather drove a Cadillac that a friend of his had a car dealership, and said, "Hey man, I need to deliver this Cadillac out to California if you guys are going." So they drove all the way.
Oh man,
it's like Beverly Hillbillies, but a little nicer car. My grandfather, my uncle, and my dad, and I'm not sure who else. It might have been my aunt and my other uncle too, but they all went out there together. And my grandmother was already in California. But anyway, I'm making this stretching this out a bit. But so my dad became a Californian, and they loved the Bay Area. My grandmother got to have citrus trees, which is something you can't have where she was from, up in the mountains, and you have a lot of okra and watermelons. But,
exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, she loved that. They loved living there. My dad went to Willow Glen High School, which you probably know. Yeah.
Willow Glen was they were a problem playing rugby in high school. That was
Oh, you played rugby?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that sport.
Yeah, that was my high school sport. Yeah, but Willow Glen was always a nightmare we dreaded playing Willow Glen High School.
Oh man, we during the time I was in Live Oak, we had a pretty good football team. We went to the finals my junior and senior year.
Wow.
But anyway, my dad grew up in that area back when there was just all orchards everywhere. Yeah, it's not like it is now.
Yeah. I mean, even now, we always joke that, growing up, people are always like, oh, that used to be orchard. That used to be this. And now every time I go home, I'm like, that used to be an orchard. That used to be so even the ones that were left from when I was a kid, it's all
changing.
Now.
Oh man, it's true. Yeah. So that's why it kind of in a roundabout way, I start in California, but really I have roots in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a bit of a going home story.
Yeah. So when my dad hauled me out there, it wasn't he was kind of glad to go back out there. And the cool thing was that he had, at that point, you ask about how he playing in LA or what. When I was a young kid, 3-4 years old, he used to play the Tahoe, Vegas circuit.
Right. Okay.
So he would do all the little play, and that back then that was the heyday of Las Vegas and Reno and Tahoe,
all the
and
casinos opening, and the whole So
he played, and they always had bands in those places. So he played all those places, and he didn't like it because he didn't know that he was going to have me. So but when he had me, he fell in love, and it was hard for him to be away.
Yeah.
So he did that as long as he could, and finally he found some work in the Bay Area that was steady, that he didn't have to travel.
Nice.
And he could stay home and raise me, which is as good a musician as he was even a better father.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was one of those guys. I'm sure
that's great.
The way you talk about your dad sounds the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so cool though, that to spot that in your kids that young. Yeah. And then just be like,
yeah,
you want to do that? I'll
that's true. I just had a cousin play some piano for me the other night, it would be my third cousin or something. This little young 14-year-old boy playing, and I'm thinking to myself, well, they're doing the right thing. Just let them do it naturally. Yep. Don't force them. If they go that way.
Yep. Yeah, and it's such a weird, because now with my kids, it's like my son's just starting to show interest in guitar, and it's but it's been same thing where it's always there. He can pull it off the wall if he wants to, but I don't ask him to do anything. Because that was, I know when I was a kid, if you told me I had to if you wanted to make sure I hated something, tell me I had to do it. And then I would fight tooth and nail. But yeah, but when you see the interest especially when it's you just see it's a weird moment because when you see your kid pick the guitar up, when you didn't tell him he had to, you just see the through line. You're like, that's
they're doing it because of their love for it, and that's how it was great because my dad always left all the instruments out, the bass, guitars, piano, everything was out, so I could it was never hands off. I could touch anything, get my peanut butter and jelly fingers on anything, and he didn't care, and that's what was so wonderful about it. But when I finally made my way to that place, it was great because I'd walk into the other room if he was home. I'd say, so I need to get from this chord to this chord, and he said, well, here's a couple of options. And then he just let me be.
That's great. Come for advice if you need
he was the best. He really was. He never pushed me into any of that.
Man, that's awesome.
And he of course kicked me off well in Nashville once he knew so many people that we could connect with.
Right. So how did that go? So when you graduate high school, you make the jump, you're in Nashville now. So what does life look like for you in that moment?
I'm spoiled because of my dad's profession and all the relationships he had. So, you know, the pedal steel guitar legend Pete Drake had a studio. My dad used to play sessions for Pete Drake a lot.
Oh, wow.
Played bass, a lot of bass. Sang some harmony, played some trumpet on a couple of things. And so when we rolled into Nashville, my dad towing my little Opel car. He had a station wagon, and all my shit was in there. Can you say that?
Yeah, it's a podcast. Right. We can say whatever we want.
Damn. So anyway, we pull into. It's too late. I already said it.
Yeah.
we pull into Nashville, and the first thing he does, it's late. It's already 11 o'clock or so. And of course, sessions back then, especially, just went on all night.
Yeah,
it was like the Beatles; they'd go on all night. He called Pete and said, "Hey, Pete, we're finally in town." He said, "Well, come on down to the studio. We're just kind of hanging around. Just walk on in." So we go down to Music Row, and it was a lot more charming, quaint place than it is now. You didn't have to. I mean, you could go in almost any door then.
Oh man, yeah. But now it's like a corporate parking lot.
Yeah, it is. That's well put. But we walked into the studio and. Pete says, "Hey, come on in." We go into the recording booth, not the booth, the control room, and we walk in. I'm 19 years old, and it's all hazy with smoke, and you know what I'm talking about, what kind of smoke I'm talking about. We walk in, and I look, and there's Pam Rose and Marianne Kennedy, who were brilliant singer-songwriters who had the duo Kennedy Rose, and toured with Emmylou for years. So they're there. They are there, and Marshall Chapman, who became one of my great friends, also she's there. They're actually recording an album on her.
Wow!
And she's working out a part with Willie Nelson. They're standing all in the control room, and they're going to do this duet, and then Pam Rose and Marianne are going to sing with them, and they're all singing in the control room. And I've got the goosebumps. I'm going, if nothing ever happens for me in Nashville. If nothing happens, if I'm just around it, I'll be fine with that. And you know what? It's still that true to this day.
Oh my God.
But I just soaked that up, and I remember thinking I made the right move right then and there. And it's ironic that all those people became my friends. Now Pam Rose and Marianne Kennedy are close friends, and so is Marshall. And of course, everyone loves Willie.
It's your first day on the job.
I know.
You walk in and
so that's when I say I was spoiled. That's what I'm talking about.
That's great.
Yeah, I was just pure spoiled, man. I mean, I was very fortunate, and these were doors that my dad could open for me. He was a musician. He couldn't afford college, but he gave me something that you couldn't afford with 10 college tuitions.
Right. Yeah. That's incredible, man. I know every time I go to Nashville, it's like, because after doing the podcast for a while, I'm kind of like aware of some history stuff that's happening, like in every street corner, every doorway, every parking lot. It's like, oh, that's where this happened. That's where that happened. And like Willie Nelson especially is like, oh, there's just stories all over town about like cool stuff. That
next time you come, we need to hang together and go, because my friend Bill Demain, great singer songwriter, he does a walking tour of Nashville. Now there are a lot of tours, but this is like, you know how you dig deep with your stuff in your podcast. He digs deep into the underbelly of Nashville. So he takes you to the alleys and the places that the weird shit happened.
So last time I was in Nashville, I was playing the outside stage at for the Ryman. And I had some time before the show started. Everybody else, I think somehow the rest of my friends ended up on a whiskey tour somewhere. And I was
a waste of time.
Yeah, man. I was like, all right, I got 2 hours to kill by myself. And I walked around and I went to Layla's. I got this cool moment. We're in the alleyway behind, you got Tootsies and Layla's and all this stuff, like along the back wall of the room.
Yeah.
And I found myself sitting, there was a security guard. I think his name was Rufus or something, some name like that. And he's just like this old cowboy dude.
You talk to him?
Yeah. And he's just standing there by himself. And I was like, so what's it like, working here? And he just launches into telling me stories about how, I swear to God, Hank Williams' ghost is here. He's like, I was here closing up in the middle of the night. And I turned around and Hank Williams is standing on the stairs right there. And so he starts telling me Hank Williams' ghost stories for like 45 minutes. And it's just this random alleyway.
It's beautiful, man.
It's great. I love all that.
I'll tell you what, walking in that alleyway is a thrill. And most people that go there would never think about going there, but guys like you and I would, because that's where everyone hung out, smoked, hung out before they were going to go on stage. So you can go back there and everyone's DNA is there.
Right. And it's
from
like
Hank Snow to Hank Williams.
Like the wall didn't move and those bars are still there. You're walking through the same doorways, the same, Johnny Cash needed to take a smoke break, he's standing right there.
That's where Doolittle Lynn would walk into the Tootsies and try to pick up a girl, and Loretta would come in and sock him.
Yeah. I would imagine that alley in particular behind the Ryman is like, it's got to have.
Yeah,
to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah, it's fun to go back there, and because people they rarely go back there. So I go back there, and when I'm ever downtown, which is rare anymore, but I'll walk back there and just kind of walk, and I'll sit down and just pretend like they're back there, man.
Yeah, it's you can feel it, dude. It's such a cool, like, it's just oozing with history.
And my old man got to play that when he was probably around 12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they had that quartet and they got to go up on that Opry stage and play, man.
Yeah, the Ryman is so cool. Like,
it's really neat.
Yeah, I could just sit in there all day and just,
It's fantastic. I got to play a couple times. They were kind of some fundraising shows that we did or something. I can't remember. It was a long time ago when I had a record deal on Epic. But my first time there, we were doing sound check and they hadn't turned anything on, and I went, "Well, we don't really need microphones."
Yeah, the acoustics in there.
It's unbelievable.
We got to be I can't remember who was doing sound check the first time I went. But you're just like walking around and like whatever band is on stage, and it's like with nobody in there, it sounds great. Like it's just it's
those hey, they've been aged right.
Yeah,
it's like getting a guitar and playing it for 100 years. It's going to sound better.
Well, I joke. So my brother-in-law works at the Ryman, and I joke with him that because all those pews are all the original.
That's right.
And there's like nails poking out of stuff. Sometimes.
They're hard pews, let me tell you.
And I sat down in this. So the first time I went there, my grandparents were with us, and there's a picture of me and my grandpa sitting in the pews at the Ryman. And so I went back to that kind of same spot, just kind of with the kids and everything. And I turn around. My grandpa's alive, by the way. He's doing great, but I still went back to that same spot. And I look over, and there's a nail poking out of the top of the pew. And I turn, and I had a little my Leatherman with me, and I just turned around. And, I took a picture of the nail first, and then I pushed it back down. Took an after picture, and I sent it to my brother-in-law. I was like, just so you know, I helped build the Ryman. That was.
Hey, you were taking care of us, man. Someone had to do it. When I first moved to Nashville, you're not going to believe this, man. I moved there in 89, would have been, 89. No, not 89, 79. Golly, I'm getting old, man. 79, because I graduated in 78. Anyway, when I first moved there was talk of demolishing the Ryman.
Yeah.
It was boarded up.
Yes.
Can you believe
that? Well, that was a big, like when you do the tour now, they talk about how it was, I can't remember which artist really led the way on that, but they were all involved, like Conway, Twitty.
Oh, they wouldn't let
Marty
it happen.
Robbins and those guys. They all kind of banded together and, got that canceled so that the got refurbished instead.
And you remember the Union Station as you go up over the hill, the big stone building.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a cathedral. It's gorgeous. That was boarded up when I moved to Nashville as well, and that was going to come down.
Oh man,
a bunch of good old boy politics were going to bring that stuff down, and I don't know what happened, what kind of minds saved it, but they saved that from happening, and now that's such a structural part.
Yeah, I
historical.
Imagine, can you imagine downtown Nashville without the Ryman? If that just wasn't there, it's. I mean, because it's right there on the corner with Broadway right there, and it's such a huge chunk.
And dude, when I first moved there, that big giant convention center that blocks shadows the Ryman as you go over the hill, you transcend just as you get to the top, the peak, and you transcend down. When I first moved to Nashville, that wasn't there, so you could see the Ryman.
Oh man,
it was like I'm in town now.
Yeah,
and it was majestic, man.
Yeah, it's such a cool.
It's
cool spot.
So next time you come, let's go do that tour.
I would love to. Yeah,
because you can get some good info for your.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, because like I said, it's every doorway has something.
Oh yeah,
it's
and it's very tragic and ironic and funny.
Yeah, And then one time the first time I went to Nashville, so my grandparents are with us, and I had never been there before. I had no idea what was where, and. I've never told the story on the podcast, I don't think, but so at the time they were 90, my grandparents, and my grandpa's he loves to dance, that's his thing. He's the dancing guy. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, and it's and so we're like, okay, we'll go do the Broadway thing, and I start stressing out because grandma's in a wheelchair, and my 90-year-old grandpa's walking, and it's kind of downhill all the way from the Ryman, down to the end of Broadway and coming back around. And
sure is.
About the time I'm thinking It's crowded. We're like poking through, fighting with a wheelchair through foot traffic. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to have to like call an Uber down at the bottom or something. And my grandpa stops in front of the Valentine. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. Like he's out of gas. And well, then he starts talking to the door guy. And then by the time I catch up with him, he's like waving us in. We're going in the Valentine.
He sounds like you.
Yeah, he's great. And so cut to, it's like him, my aunts, a couple of my aunts were there, me and my sisters, and like we're all dancing at the Valentine. And there's great footage of my 90-year-old grandpa like just dancing around in there and all. And then of course he's the sweet old man in the middle, so all the girls at the bar are like cheering him on.
Oh man, that's great!
It was amazing. And then then went back outside and he walked all the way back up the hill.
How long ago was that? Just a few years ago?
That was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
Your sister works at the Ryman, right?
No, my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law.
Okay. Yeah. And but yeah, it was one of the coolest like national numbers.
There's nothing like it. I went into Miranda Lambert's place, and not on purpose. I had a gig or something downtown. I had some time to kill, and I go, I never walk downtown anymore because it's just it's a tourist trap. It's just awful. And I thought, well, I have some time to kill, so I'll look around and see what this. So I walked in there in those places, and I got to tell you, it's not for me. But the musicianship and of all the different players that play everywhere, and if you're a young 20-something, I can see why people go down there. It's just not for me.
Well, like I said, I have that cool memory of doing it with my grandparents. Normally, that much like fighting your way through a foot traffic crash, it is a nightmare.
It's like it's a little bit like Vegas, and I'm not.
Yeah, it's cowboy Vegas now. Yeah,
it is.
It's funny. Like
funny
on the way back up the hill. I'll never forget this. So like, we're walking back up the hill, and like people are looking at my grandpa the whole time, like, you're on foot out here? Like, this is okay, good for you. And this half-naked college girl comes out of nowhere, and she has this rose that she had picked up. There's like people selling flowers.
Oh, yeah.
This, like painted blue and white rose. And she just comes up to my grandpa. She's like, "You're beautiful." And just drunk mess. And she gives this flower to my grandpa. And he's like, "Well, thanks, And then she, "Oh, I love you. You're great." And then she disappears. And first thing in his mind, he shuffles up to catch up with my grandma who's getting pushed in a wheelchair. And he gives her this flower. And her first reaction was, "Where the hell did you get that?" And when he went like, I was like, a half-naked college chick gave it to him. And he was just like, he like just shrugs.
Oh, man,
he shrugged. They continue up the hill, and he looks at me. And he goes, "Still got it."
Oh man, I love that story. Yeah, it is. If you go by yourself, it's a good place to people watch.
Yeah,
because they're just some odd people down there.
Yeah,
I have never seen so many rhinestone cowboy hats, women. Hats with some kind of tight top, shorts right above the knees, and the long boots.
Yep,
all over.
Yeah,
I mean it's as if they're going to Disneyland. They have their Mickey Mouse ears on.
It's a costume thing.
It's a costume party.
Yeah,
you're right.
It is.
Yeah, see, we can write that about Nashville.
Yeah, the Nashville costume party.
And my friend Bill Lloyd has a great song. Check it out if you can check it out. If you can. It's called "A Pedal Tavern Girl."
Oh,
and remember those pedal taverns that go through town where they're serving margaritas and shit.
Everybody's
and the girls are pedaling, and their butts are pedaling in the stool, and they're going all over town. And they're just yelling and screaming, and they're half out of their minds.
Yeah.
And this song is really funny because for people that have been there as long as we have, like my friend Bill Lloyd and I, it's like a disgrace.
Yeah.
As much as we love young ladies, it's like, oh man, this sucks. Yeah. And he wrote the perfect song about it.
Yeah.
It's become I think like the wedding capital of the world. As far as
the
wedding party.
Yeah, the bachelorette party capital. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember. So my show outside.
That's right.
Midway through the show, one of those comes by. He's just kind of mid-song, kind of nod.
You're singing your really pretty song, and they're all yelling, and I'm looking at you going,
I was like, thanks,
I understand,
check
man.
it out, follow the show.
That's what it's become. It's crazy. And I guess if you're not from there, it's worth seeing just to see how crazy it is. Yeah. But it is a good place to people watch if you go by yourself and take some notes. Yeah. Because there's some songs.
Well, like I said, when I was by myself, I think the best way to do it is to do the alleys because nobody's back there. And all those doors open to the back, so you can just walk by yourself.
Right in.
Nobody's bugging you.
Correct.
You can, check stuff out.
Now they'll know.
Now we might have messed it up, but but okay. So once you get to Nashville and you get your you're in it now. So like, when was the first time that you felt like, oh, this is going to work? Like I'm making it.
It was a long time. Although, no, that's not fair to say, because people spend 10, 20 years there before. It felt like a long time when you're 19 years old. It wasn't that long, really. Because for one thing, I was prepared. My father had prepared me. He said, listen, you're not up to par with these people. They're going to critique you and tell you what to do, and you can't be ornery and
you can't be precious about it. Yeah,
exactly. You have to listen to what they say. They're trying to help. They're trying to help you get songs cut, so that when they say to rewrite a song, you just rewrite it and bring it back the next day. So I was prepared, and if I hadn't been prepared, it might not have gone as well. But since I was prepared for that, I didn't have any high expectations of anything happening really fast. So I knew that it was a marathon.
Right.
My dad had literally told me that. That's what this is. It's a career. You stick with it for the long haul. So when I got there, and I got jobs at KFC and a department store somewhere, and I was just working just to survive. But I would go every spare minute I had, I'd go down to the publishing company. Now, when I say that, there's another story that goes with that. Because my dad also knew Sonny Throckmorton, and my dad had played sessions with him when he used to live in California. Sonny was like the number one biggest songwriter in Nashville at that time.
Oh, man.
And so Sonny knew we were coming to town. Sonny talked to me on the phone before I left Morgan Hill.
Oh.
He said, so your dad says you want to be a songwriter. Hey, Puddin'? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah. He calls everyone Puddin'. I said, yeah. He goes, well, come on. So when we rolled into Nashville the next day after we were done at, meeting Pete, we went to Sonny's house, and my dad, I played him 2 or 3 songs, and he looked, he says, well, you're not there yet, but you got it, and that was all I needed to know that I was in the right place. So it takes that, that's that kind of thing where I was invited. I was fortunate, again, spoiled. My dad played bass and sang beautiful harmony. So whenever Sonny would put together songwriter shows with people like, Hank Cochran.
Oh, okay.
Rock Killo.
Oh, man, Hank Cochran.
Harlan Howard, or whoever was part of the thing. There'd be different songwriters. My dad got to play bass and sing harmony with them, because he was a quick study.
Yeah.
So they'd take him on all these trips. So I would come along as kind of the gopher.
Yeah, I mean,
and I would go out. Back then, at that age, you could go buy, at 19, you could buy beer. So I'd bring the beer back for the guys, and what do we need? Something out of the car. I was a fly on the wall, and it was beautiful, because at some point, I recall they're all passing the guitar around amongst other things, and finally I think it was Rock Killo who said, "Hey Donnie, why don't you play us one?" I was like, "Okay." And I had this really shitty, I mean, all the songs were shitty. And I played the song, and you know what? They were so kind. They would say, well, that's real good, man. That's good. And I think it was terrible, but they talked about the tuning I used, and these older guys who were writing big hits were giving me the time of day, and that was the college that you couldn't get anywhere else. So I was spoiled. I got that right out of the chute. I get to travel with my dad to these different things, and because of that, I got to hang at Tree Publishing. Tree Publishing was the largest international independent publisher in the world at the time. Nowadays Sony owns everything, or whoever does. But back then, a lot of publishers were independents, and this one was huge. And Sonny wrote there. And so my dad got to play a lot of sessions in there. They had a studio in the basement, a big 24-track.
Oh, wow.
State-of-the-art studio. So I got to hang out down there and be the errand boy there, but I'd still work at KFC or wherever. Well, I became really good friends with a guy named David Womack, who was the tape copy librarian guy there. Reel-to-reel tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Everything had to be done in real time back then. And he had to catalog them all, and they had rooms full of shit. It was great. If you're an audiophile buff like I was, it was thrilling. Yeah. And so one day he called me, because I used to hang out there all the time, whatever they wanted me to do. He called me and said, "Hey man, they're moving me up to song plugger. Would you like to take this job as the tape?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, it's a thankless job." He goes, they work you way too hard and you get paid like shit. I said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I took a cut and pay from wherever I was working to go work as the tape copy kid.
Wow.
And that's the turning point. That's where I not only did I meet everybody that I know to this day there, because you made copies in real time, I learned through osmosis. I absorbed all those songs, and you can't help but learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hearing the fresh off the press demos by all the big hit songwriters before they were ever heard by Loretta Lynn or whoever.
Right, just getting pitched to people.
I know. And I had to make the copies and stuff. That was my job.
Holy cow.
So it was hard because I didn't know how to thread a reel-to-reel machine. And you had to be, and by the time about a year into it, I could go and do it.
Yeah.
But at the time it's like this, and they're waiting for their tape copy, and this little kid in there doing this.
It's like threading a sewing
Oh
machine
my
or something.
God, it was painful. I remember the first night after the day was over, we were supposed to work 9 to 5, whatever. And everybody went home, and I was backed up so much I had to stay till like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I just laid on the floor crying. I would have been like 20 years old. So just crying, going, oh, what did I get myself into? But man, they were so good to me there. And at some point, it just seemed like I became part of the family, and they would listen to my songs every once in a while if there was a moment.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate.
That's
Again,
awesome.
Getting my foot indoors that most people would spend years.
And you also got to be willing to be the tape guy.
That's right.
You got to,
And you know what? It was a real hard job, and there were days I thought, man, I can't do this anymore. But boy, I'm so glad I did. I did it for about 4 years. And within that time, I started to get a couple songs recorded.
Nice.
By a couple different people. And it was like, there was even talk like, are you going to keep doing this job? Or are you going to sign on as a writer? I went, no, I don't want to do that yet. I'm not ready yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I did that for about 4 years. I had my first single was by a guy named Jon Conlee. I got a song called Blue Highway. And this rarely happens, you guys. I got the B-side as well. A song I wrote with an old friend named Billy Simon. We wrote a song called The Island. And the irony, too, is the guy that gave me the job in the tape room, David Womack, he and I co-wrote the Blue Highway song.
Oh, wow. So how does that, when you get that phone call, is it like, does Jon Conlee walk in the building and be like, oh, and here's, or is it like, or do you get a phone call like, hey, we sent that song to Jon Conlee?
A lot of back then, especially, the artists would show up. I mean, I'd be in there, and I'd go out into the foyer or whatever you want to call it, the gathering area. I'd be in the tape room, and it wouldn't be unusual to see Willie and Waylon and Roger Miller and Conway, Twitty just walking around because they're going from one song plugger's office to the next. They'd spend the whole afternoon. They'd book the whole afternoon because Tree was the biggest publisher in town. So they would go to, they'd have like 3 or 4 song pluggers, and they'd spend about 30 minutes or an hour with each guy. They'd spend the whole afternoon, and the guys would pitch them songs, and I had to run the tapes in there, and then they'd make a little list, and I had to make
So
copies
did you
for
know? Was there a moment where you knew that Jon Conlee was listening to your song in the office?
Here's what John was. He would come up there to record, but he was rarely come in. He had a great producer named Bud Logan, and Bud was a great songwriter, singer from back in the day. So he knew great songs, and he knew just what John was looking for. So when Bud walked in the door, everyone was like hounding him. It's like, don't bug him. But everyone wanted to pitch him a song because John was really hot at the time. And so one of the song pluggers fell in love with a song of mine called The Island. That was the B-side of the single. And he played it for him. And funnily enough, Bud said, it's like a Jimmy Buffett kind of thing. I think John could have a hit with that maybe. So
oh, man.
I couldn't believe it. And then that's like the next week after that, my friend David Womack, who I co-wrote Blue Highway with, he said, he pulled Bud aside and said, I think I got one you could use. He says, well, I've got 5 minutes. So he played him the song. He took a copy of it.
Oh, man.
So I was just around it a lot. And I pitched my songs before, but mostly it was either a song plugger or a co-writer that got the songs cut.
Wow.
I was always busy making tape copies.
So are you like, what is that moment? So that's the first song you got cut was Jon Conlee?
Yeah, I think the first song I got cut was by T.G. Shepherd, but it didn't come out first. It came out after the Blue Highway thing.
Gotcha.
And then things started to happen.
Yeah. Like, do you remember that moment as being like, oh, there it is?
Yeah, I was very excited because of a lot of reasons. John was one of the greatest singers It still is.
Right, yeah.
And also Bud Logan made wonderful records. So everybody wanted a cut on a John Conlee record because they knew their song was going to be done well.
Yeah.
And when I heard what he'd done with the songs, like, oh man, it was so good. I never thought in a million years they would be singles. But it was the title cut of the album. And then when the best thing in the world is getting that first album and seeing your name on the label.
Yeah.
It was so exciting because you're on there with other famous writers.
Yeah.
And you're going, man, something's wrong with this label. My name's on here with whoever.
I get excited when I see like a music festival poster with my name on it.
Me too. I still do. I save those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I'm in the little print at the bottom, but
there I am, man.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So yeah, it was exciting. And I'll tell you what, when the song came out, he was at his right at the end of his tenure with NSAI Records, and he was going to go sign at Columbia. So he had just a string of number one hits. So we thought for sure it'd be a number one hit. It went to like 15. It wasn't a big hit, but he got played a lot on the radio because he was John Conlee. So even though they didn't have the machine to push it to number one, it didn't matter because it did very well.
Right. Yeah.
And that little bit of. Well, I'll tell you this. The first time I heard it, let me go back just a little bit before I tell you what I did with the little bit of money I made, which was a lot back then.
Heck yeah.
I was at a Wendy's drive-thru, probably, KFC, probably the one I used to work at. I'm going through the drive-thru, and I had my old little Opel car that my Uncle Herman gave me to go out to Nashville and bless his heart. Thank you, Uncle Herman. I pull up, there's a hole in the back floorboard, about this big. Exhaust fumes come in. You can't, you roll the windows down, you just, you deal with it. You drive up, and my song came on the radio.
Oh, man.
And right before I was getting ready to get my burger on the drive-thru, and I'm sitting there going, and of course, in Nashville, you could go tell somebody, hey, that's my song on the radio. And they go, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, kid. Yeah.
But I sat in the car, and I remember laughing, thinking, wow, this is funny. I'm in this little broken up car. I'm hanging in there, and my song's on the radio.
Oh,
and that's really what it's mostly like.
Yeah.
It's rarely glorious.
Right. Well, that's the dream.
It's glorious in your own personal way, but it's never like.
Yeah, you're not getting the high five tunnel at the office.
And it was a fun moment. I'll never forget that.
Man, that's great.
But the first single was the A-B side. That was exciting to get, and I couldn't believe it. I was off and running then because it's interesting. They don't really pay attention to back then. They just were looking for great songs. Nowadays, you have 6, 7, 8 people writing one song. And that's because they're all connected to the project one way or the other. Back then, it wasn't like that. There were people who sang and toured, and there were people who stayed home and wrote. And those guys counted on you to come up with great songs. If you had a song like He Stopped Loving Her Today, it got cut.
Yeah.
You can bring that song in today, and no one would give a shit.
Now, funny enough about He Stopped Loving Her, do you know that song took 2 years to make? From the time that
I know Bobby. Bobby's a good friend.
Okay, yeah. So from the time they started, it was like, because we've talked about this on the show. The glory days of George Jones's cocaine habit was like it was causing all kinds of hell. But yeah, so He Stopped Loving Her Today took, I think, like 2 years.
Well, Bobby became one of my first mentors, and maybe my main one actually. But now that I think about it,
really,
because he would come in the tape room a lot, and I one day I got there early and played some of my little home demos because I was making copies of them before people got there. So he came in early and he's looking for tapes. He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, Bobby, that's just something I did at home. I'm just trying to make copies before people get here." He goes, "Hey, that's really great. That's really great."
Oh, man.
He goes, "Donald, that's great." He goes, "Hey, you want to write some?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
And this is, and I was right about the time that He Stopped Loving Her Today had just happened and everything after that. And I called my dad going, shaking, Bobby Braddock asked me to write. He goes, "Are you kidding? Is it?"
Man.
Yeah. Because Bobby was always looking for young, different kind of talent to co-write with and stuff, to get fresh ideas. Of course, he doesn't need any of us, but he was so sweet to take me under his wing. And really, most of the time, that first time I wrote with him, I sat with the paper and pad, and he banged it out on the piano. I went, "That sounds good, Bobby.
Yeah.
That sounds good, Bobby." But it was such a learning experience. And he was, so those stories I got to ask him about, about all those songs, and especially at that time, He Stopped Loving Her Today, which to me is just, I don't know. I don't think I know a song I like better. It's great that you know it.
Oh,
I love that you're 32 years old and you know that song because it gives me hope, man.
Yeah, no, it's now. Did Bobby Braddock write A Good Year for the Roses or no?
That was Jerry Chestnut.
That's right. Yeah.
That's Jerry used to write up there too. He'd have that big old Stetson hat with the big old thing. He'd come in there and he was tall and he had this really cool Southern voice. I don't know if he's from Texas or where.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you see this big gruff guy come in, and you're thinking, who is this? And you find it's Jerry Chestnut. He wouldn't. A Good Year for the Roses. It's like, my God, he writes these really delicate, beautiful songs, but he's this big, rough guy.
Yeah, man.
It was pretty neat. That was pretty neat getting to know him.
Oh, man, I bet.
Yeah. It was a day in the tape room. When I was in the tape room for like that 4 years, I mean, I'd turn around, it'd be people waiting for their tape copies. So I got to know him. Yeah. I'd turn around, there'd be Dee Murray, who played bass with Elton John for years. He's getting a tape copy and go, hey, it's Dee Murray. Hi, I'm a big fan. Oh, it's David Cassidy. He comes in another time. You turn around, Shel Silverstein. I'll be damned. There's Shel Silverstein standing there. And so this is all what happened. Roger Miller. Hi, Roger. Hi, Don. Told me to come get tape from you. I said, yeah, here you go, Mr. Miller.
Here you go.
You're the king of the road.
Yeah.
And so it was constant like that. And it was, oh God, it was glorious.
Oh man.
Yeah. I think it was probably similar to what the Brill Building in New York would have been like when in its heyday, because I got to be a part of it right before it went,
right, yeah.
It got Sonyized.
Yeah, corporatized.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing to experience and to know how good it could be.
Holy cow. So what year would that be then? So what year are we at in the time?
81.
So in 81.
I started the tape room in 81. I got there in 79 when I was 19 and got the job at the January 1 of 81.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what year, so when you wrote Where You Been, what year was that?
Well, I think we wrote it, I want to say probably around 86, 87.
Okay, so
it's hard to say.
Right, but in that same
maybe
few years there,
yeah, there was a good long run before we wrote that one. But I'd had other cuts too, and a few nothing real big until that came along. But yeah, it was weird. By the time Where Have You Been came along, it was still another, I think 88, it was probably still another 2 years before it got recorded. Man. And then another 2 years before it was out and won awards and stuff.
Right.
So that's the thing about this job, at least back then. It may be a lot different now. I'm not in the trenches like it was. There aren't any trenches to be in, really.
Yeah, but there's 6 people.
Yeah, right. But back then, it was a really, you wrote the song. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'd write a song, take it in the next day. George Jones would hear it. It'd get cut the next day.
Oh, man.
It'd be on the radio in a week. That happened a lot then.
Oh,
but also, you also knew that it would also be that you'd write a song. It'd find a home in a couple of years. They'd finally put it out in a couple of years. It'd be on the radio in a couple. So it could be 6 years before you got paid for it.
You almost forgot about it, and then it's like,
and the whole time you're going, is it going to make the album? Is it going to make the album? Yeah. And so that was a constant waiting game like that. But it wasn't. In fact, one of the cuts that I had was by Ray Charles recorded one of my songs.
Wow.
A song I wrote with Craig Morris, a good friend of mine, piano player, which is fun to write with great piano players because I don't even have to pick up the guitar. Just sit there and, write lyrics while he's playing because he's so good. But we wrote a song called Class Reunion that was recorded by the Oak Ridge Boys, John Conlee, and Ray Charles, and some other people as well. Gene Watson. Yeah. Gene Watson did. He's one of my favorite country singers. But anyway, so we get a call from Billy Sherrill, which is cool. It's because Billy Sherrill's a hero producer.
Just to be able to spit that sentence
I know
out.
it.
I got a call from Billy Sherrill.
And I remember thinking, my song plugger said, well, Billy just called me. Says, yeah. He says, Ray really loves your song Class Reunion. I said, really?
Man.
And I'm 24 or something like that. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, Ray wants you though. He doesn't want to sing that first verse. He wants to do a recitation. Could you guys write a recitation for him? And I'm like, sure. Now this would have never happened for a lot of young people, but because I had the dad I had, he said, you rewrite. They'll tell you to rewrite, you rewrite. And I learned how to do that through the years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a shock when they came in and asked me. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. It was like, sure. And we took it home that night. And we rewrote it that night so that we could give it to them the next day. Now those are the kind of tools that I didn't have before I got to Nashville. But after you write a lot, you learn so much. You learn how to write on the spot.
Yeah.
That you can crank it out like that. And we did it. And I thought, and we laughed. We were doing because my friend Craig could do a great impersonation of Ray Charles. I mean, spot on. And he would sit there and sing and bob his head around, and we'd write this little these words, this whatever you want to call it, little speech beforehand. So we take it in the next day. He sends it over to Billy right away. Billy called right back, says, Ray loves it. We're going with it. We're cutting today.
Oh,
They're cutting that day.
Oh.
And so I'm going, it worked. Now, it didn't become a big hit. It was on an album that didn't sell a lot, but Ray Charles is singing one of my songs.
Like that's, I mean, take that all the way.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that's the way it was. It was kind of like a factory in that sense. And I liked that. I was up for that challenge. Yeah. Now I write every time I sit down, I'm inspired. I love to write. It's just fun to do.
Yeah.
But it was fun to know that at that age, I felt like when you asked me, when did you know? Well, that's about when I knew. It's like, oh, I'm a real songwriter.
Yeah. You're part of the project. It's,
yeah. They called me. We rewrote it. It got sent through. The producer liked it. The artist cut it. I'm a real songwriter. And that was the first time I felt like I could do the job, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That was exciting.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine that, like, because in the span of 24 hours,
I know
you got to go through every step of that process.
Oh yeah, and to this day, people say, "Hey, could you rewrite that?" I'm ready to go. Yeah. Now, there are a lot of songs that I go, "Nah, you're full of shit."
Yeah.
But man, if Emmy Lou comes in the door and says, "Don, I like this song, but you got to rewrite," it's like, "Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm rewriting it."
Man. And two, I feel like, especially back then, I feel like things have changed a lot. Now, I mean, lots of things have changed now, but back then, multiple artists would cut the same song because there wasn't like this. Because I feel like, especially into the 90s,
yes,
early 2000s, even, like, because I remember being a little kid and it was like weird to find out that Alan Jackson didn't write that song, that somebody else, because your brain wants to imprint that story on that character, and that's like,
because it matches them. So.
Right, exactly. And that, like, you wanted to believe that they had written it. And so I remember being like shocked that, like, people aren't writing their own songs, kind of thing. But like, and so I feel like less effort went into recognizing the songwriters as time went on.
Sure.
Versus, before, when everybody's cutting, I heard this person do that song. I heard that person. Like,
sure.
You have to understand that, okay, they obviously didn't write it because I've heard 4 different people sing it. And so it kind of like, I feel like for the writers, it might have been a little bit more of a golden age because you might get 4 different artists that weren't afraid to cut the same song.
That's true. I mean, that's how standards are made.
Yeah.
Now, that's why we're good. I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm just saying it's going to be harder for writers to enjoy a copyright that's a standard that'll be around for decades. It's going to be rare now because the songs don't have any staying power. They're not, but every once in a while you get that, like that Pharrell Williams thing, Be Happy. That'll be around forever, but it doesn't happen as often as
I think now too, we're experiencing a little bit of a resurgence of that.
I hope so.
Like, they're, especially with artists, I've noticed the 2 that stand out in my mind are like Zach Top is making stuff that's going to stick around, and Ella Langley too is she's done a few things I think like, wow, it doesn't have the cookie cutter feel to it.
Right.
These, now I don't know that we're going to get to where like Lainey Wilson is not going to cut a song that Ella Langley just did.
Yeah.
Even though back in the day that might have happened.
Yeah, that would have happened. And that's the difference, is that, when there'd be a really great Beatles song or a Harlan Howard song, Ray Charles would cut it, and I mean, everybody would cover it.
Yeah.
Everyone would cover, I Fall to Pieces, for example, like Patsy Cline or whoever. Everybody would cover that song. And that's how standards are made, because you have more than one person where it's sung by everyone, where it becomes a community song. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the difference. Not a lot of songs are becoming community songs, but there is a good thing that I do like out there is a lot of young people are covering, they're doing little TikToks of covering songs. They're really great singers, and they'll do only like a verse and a chorus of a song. So that gives a song a little bit of a standard life. Like some of those really great puppy dog things, or somebody what's that really great? Oh wow! Oh, I can't think of the name of the artist, but there's a couple of really brilliant little soft sentimental songs that are on all those little TikTok videos.
Wait, I've seen a couple like ones that I've seen that kind of make me chuckle because like I remember them from being a kid. Was like somebody. Well, and then I think Zach Top did a cover, but before I saw that happen, somebody was covering "Everything That Glitters."
Oh, that's a great song.
And that's a song that I've loved since I was a kid. But like, it's not. Not everybody knows what that song is, but you see kids covering it on TikTok every once in a while. Or like another one that's been going around is, when Roger Miller did the Robin Hood soundtrack. Oh. Yeah, like Nottingham. I've seen that 5 or 6 different people covering that song. And I'm
so glad that's getting around. It's such
a pretty, the song's only a minute and a half long anyway.
Beautiful,
and so, it's easy for people to cover on, online.
I remember what that song was. It's 1,000 Years. That one. Da, 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 waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
1,000 years. With Perry.
Katy. That's not Katy Perry.
No. Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry about my ignorance, guys. I just think if you're ever listening to it, the wonderful woman who wrote that song, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
because it says so much, and you can hear it behind a video, or you can hear it without the video, and it just gets inside of you, man.
Yeah,
and that's how standards are made. They're covered by, it may be her version, but it's in a sense it's being covered by millions of people because it's all in all these different videos.
Yeah, I think that I understand how that kind of stuff, that's the beautiful thing that you would think you'd want to keep replicating. And the goal would be to make more of that. And
but you can't. It's magic.
Yeah. And it's like not only that, but it's like the trouble is that you can make people dance.
Yeah.
With a pretty bad song. Like you can,
trust me, I've done it.
Right. But so all you need is the right beat. You need the right chord progression. You need it to sound kind of half rap nowadays. And the people in the bar will buy beer and, dance to it.
Yeah.
So if the goal is the company has to make money, those are the easiest things to replicate. And so now it's drowned out some of the more artistic kind of those standards get kind of lost because it's it's a lot of effort to go find those and hope they crack.
It really is.
And really, we can crank out 10 of these beer drinking songs and make all our money back.
There's a deep rooted problem that comes from the digital age, beginning with MP3s on little devices.
Yeah,
is that music got to be free. And as soon as it got to be free, you can't pay publishers, and publishers can't hire songwriters. So as soon as that's over, there's no songs. When people are putting out records now, they're just trying to have a hit act. Back then, they were looking for a hit song.
Yes.
Now they're looking for hit acts.
Well, and
that's the difference.
That's like I said, as a songwriter, it's a little bit like you kind of have to make these deals with the devil now sometimes because these people that make it big, because the streaming is free and it still costs a ton of money to make a record.
Yeah.
These artists end up in debt most of the time because they sign a record contract. We'll front you $200,000. It costs you $350 to make the album, and you got to make up the difference touring your ass off
for the next couple of years.
And you might not even break even at the end of that. If you don't really make it, it's a
without publishers trying to make a living. When you have publishers involved, when that was a thing, the thing that was different about that was they were looking for the next Vincent, Starry, Starry Night, or they're looking for the next He Stopped Loving Her Today because they knew those were copyrights.
Yep.
Those songs are going to get covered 100 times, thousands of times.
Yeah.
So they're looking for something special because if they can have a hit with it, they will make money for decades to come. But now that's not a thing.
Right.
And publishers aren't a thing. So there's no reason for anyone to look for special songs.
Yeah, it's tough because there's no the gap that has been left. If you're honestly, I think as an independent artist, that's kind of the sweet spot now is because if you can handle the distribution, if you can handle the business end of things, the corporate side will get you in front of a huge crowd, but there's also a lot of waste there. They're spending ungodly amounts of money on production and,
it's crazy, man.
That are they're the two things I feel like we're not talking about it in a time where that used to be this way, now it's this way. I feel like it used to be this way, it screwed everything up, and now we're still in the middle of trying to figure out what the reaction.
Well, it's a moving target.
Yeah,
like we talked about earlier today when we were out having breakfast, the AI thing, it changes everything, so we don't know where anything's going to land.
Yeah,
so it's a guessing game.
Yeah, what's the business model going to be that actually works?
And I'm not sure that you can guess that, and I don't think you ever really could, except that now it's even more distant.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think my theory on it so far is that, like, I think people are still as interested as ever in seeing live shows and seeing
I hope so.
human talent and watching, like, and the community of going out to a show together and, you go get dinner and, it's a whole evening thing. Like, that hasn't gone away. And I don't think that, like, right now we're in this, like, shiny new toy era with AI where it's like, did you hear 50 Cent's song get turned into a 50s, like, whatever? And they're really cool to listen to.
I know.
But it's just because it's, shiny and novel and new. It's not because it's like, wow, this AI thing got this profound, because have to, like, you're listening to music because somebody else took your human experience and turned it into this beautiful song that you can relate to, and that the guy that wrote that or is singing it felt the thing that you felt. So you're experiencing a connection with the artist.
Yeah.
And if you, like, that's not there if a robot did it, and it's like it's like, wait a minute, this robot just listened to enough of those songs that he imitated. To me, it's like I draw the parallel to, like, it's like if you go duck hunting, it's like you got duck calls or whatever. I'm like, that's the robot duck calling us into this thing. Like, it's not real, and you're gonna get there and find out you're in some trouble.
You're gonna get shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're getting called into a set of decoys here that is going to be a real problem.
We have the advantage, the guys like you and I that would still go out and play live.
Oh yeah.
And it's really the last frontier for what we do for people. And you know what? Maybe that's why, at least in my lifetime, I remember when going to Broadway musicals was not a thing for a long time, in the 70s, 80s. And now they're huge again. For one thing, that's where some of maybe the greatest songwriting is going on.
Yeah.
And the deal is, it's a live, you have to go show up at the show and see it live in person, and that may be what it's going to take.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the arc that we're on, is like where you're seeing theater is landing now, where it's like people are paying to go because it's not TV.
Yeah, and it's not AI.
I wonder if
bullshit.
I wonder if TV is to theater what AI is to music.
Could be well said.
That we'll eventually get around the back end of it, and people are making the effort to go see it because they want to see the live show.
I went to see Book of Mormon both times it came through town, and the songwriting was so great. I was going, okay, I'm getting my Jones here because I can't turn on country radio and find songwriting that makes me feel good.
Right.
But I can go to a Broadway show where I can go, oh God, that's stellar songwriting.
Well, and then, like my kids right now, like we for a few years now, we've been on a real Hamilton kick.
Oh, that's amazing.
And, right. I grew up listening to musicals and seeing that kind of stuff, but like the writing and the way that they're able to tie the history into the writing, and it's so good and historically accurate that it's just mind-boggling.
They really move the bar so high now.
Oh
it's like gosh, everything has to be that good.
Incredible.
And that's good. I love that. That's okay.
It's cool to know that and it's cool to know that exists. And Lin-Manuel Miranda just did it. It's not an AI thing.
I know. It's so great.
I feel like that play would mean less if you knew a robot figured this out and got this really snazzy rap song or whatever. Like, it wouldn't hit the same as knowing, like, this dude sat down on a subway with a notepad and crunk out 3 hours worth of music about the life of Alexander Hamilton that will, like, move you to tears.
Yeah, and that music will be around for a long time. Like, that may be the standards of
it's already
50 years from now.
It's already I see my kids doing it now because, like, when I was little, I remember, because my mom loved musicals. So, like, I remember watching 1776.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, singing the 1776 songs. And I remember what that, like, because we saw the movie, obviously, but the musical movie. But like my sisters and I will still reference that every once in a while.
That's great.
Like, you can just sing out or just hit them with a sit down John reference, and they're we all kind of know. And I see that Hamilton is what my kids are doing that with now, like that. So it'll be the same thing 20 years from now.
And the cool thing is that they will, even your kids who, whether or not they take on a musical career or not, they will know a shit song from a great song.
Yes. Yeah.
And see, people say, oh, the general public doesn't know. That's just dumbing down everybody. I mean, we have an opportunity to spread some great culture if we want to go that way.
Yeah. I think the sales number is a bad proxy for.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's like, because you can sell a lot of stuff that's like, okay, and people will dance to and people will show up and, kind of thing. But that's not just because the public buys a lot of kind of formulaic whatever doesn't mean that that's what they love. Like they're like, they can still pick out a good one, and that people still know.
I think people know the difference. I've had people come up to me that aren't in the music business at all, friends or family, and go, man, I heard some of that country music the other day. You still do that? I go, well, I try to get songs cut, but it doesn't happen as much as it used to. And they go, man, I can write better songs than those. And I'm going, yes, you could.
Yeah. That's, I mean, not to throw stones especially from down here at the bottom of the ladder where I'm at. But like, I remember hearing the line, I'm rednecker than you. And just being
that's
like,
funny.
Right. I was like, but like, man, like that's the kind of shit I got to be writing. Is that like I'm rednecker?
That's the
like,
bar.
I was like, oh,
well, see, that's been problematic for me as a songwriter in Nashville. As far as getting songs recorded, was I worked so hard because I wanted to be a guy that, like Bobby Braddock, someday I'll write He Stopped Loving Her Today.
Right. Yeah.
But by the time I learned how to maybe write a song like that, it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I mean,
not like it did then. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and so, but I'm lucky that I got that because I had a bar to work towards.
Yeah.
And it made me a better writer. And like my dad said from the beginning of this conversation, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I think we're heading into another golden age of music. I think
well, I hope you're right. You're young. Sense. You're hopeful. I'm counting on you.
I'm not jaded yet. Yeah,
I'm not too bad. I had my bout with it, but now I'm more of I can see where things are settling or unsettling.
Yeah, the Wild West feeling is back a little bit.
Yeah, and I really like what I do. I write songs that I really just write songs that I know will kill an audience, a small audience that I play for.
Yeah.
And it's like, so or co-writers that I really admire. If I say, oh, I've got a new song to play you.
Yeah.
And if they give me the thumbs up, I mean, they're the best writers in the world. And if they approve.
Well, you've done that for me a few times. That, man. It means the world when it's like, oh, hey, they got a thumbs up on this one. It's like, hey, that was pretty good.
Well, that's what that's the stuff that keeps us going. And when we had the little community, when I say I had the community of a publishing contract and working with all those famous elder writers and stuff. It was that little pat in the back that you got. I remember one day I wrote my first really good 3-chord song, a song called Heart versus Heart, real country. I co-wrote it with my friend Marty Parker, who could write country in his sleep. And it got cut by Paige McIntyre, who was Reba's brother, and she did a duet with him on it, and I was very excited about it. But before that all happened, we had just written the song, and I'm in the tape room working, working in the tape room. Harlan Howard comes in. I made Harlan copies all the time, and at Christmas, he always give me a bottle of wine or something. He comes walking in, and he goes, hey, son. I said, hey, Harlan, what's going on? He goes, I heard that new song, that Heart versus Heart. He goes, that's a home run, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I was like... And to me, I don't know. I wish it had been a bigger hit and all that. But when he walked out of my whole day was made.
Yeah, like
sometimes that's
what you want.
Most of us that do this. It just takes a little honesty and a little time for someone to say that.
Yeah, I think I would trade that. Like, if you give me 2 options: write a song that you just like did it for the people that wanted it, and it's it's a song about beer trucks and girls, and I hated writing it, but and then that song goes to number 1, and you're like, all right, I guess that's how that works. Like that feeling, or nobody heard it, but a top-notch songwriter was like, hey man, that was good.
You just know you're on the right track.
Yeah, I'd take that second feeling.
Yeah, because it's like being taught. It's like, oh, I'm going in the right direction. I know I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
And boy, just knowing that at the age of, I was 22 or 23 at the time, and I remember thinking, okay, all right, cool, that's good. So now he liked that. I see how what it took to write that, and I'll work more from that angle and see what I can come up with. It was very helpful,
Man. Well, okay, so So then soon after, you find yourself winning a Grammy. So like what was that like? And what was the process for that? And like how did that?
Well, it's a blur. I mean, because what happens is it was a good, I'd been in Nashville over 10 years before that happened. Which to a lot of people just seemed like a short amount of time, but since I got there when I was 19, it seemed like a long time.
Well, yeah, it is a long time.
Yeah, and you can't. Another thing my dad taught me is for doing it for all the right reasons. You know, if you ever go into this job to win awards, you're never going to win one. It's just not going to happen. Now, I can say that's probably not true. I'm sure somebody has done that,
right?
But more than likely, it's not going to work that way. You just show up every day like any other job. Yeah. Whether if you make chairs for a living or whatever you make cabinets or whatever you do, you start when you're young and you just get better at it till you get real good at it, and you don't even know you're good at it, so you don't even know to brag about it. But everybody goes, God, he's doing some good work, whatever it is, and so after a while, like when we wrote that song, Jon Vezner and I wrote that song together. It's a true story about his grandparents. But when we wrote it, I thought we did a good job on it. I thought we handled it well. I thought we accomplished the goal. We knew what the hook was. We knew what the ending was, and we made it all work. And we did our job. We crafted the song well, I thought, and I thought it was good. But at that point, I thought a lot of songs I'd written were really good.
Yeah.
And we were at his publishing company, and we finished the song. We finished the bridge, which was the hardest part of the song. But we're sitting there. His publisher comes in, and she. A woman by the name of Ree Geyer. She came in and she said, well, let me hear what you guys got. So we played the song through, and she was standing up against a door jamb like this. And throughout the whole song, she just started sliding down the door jamb. And she was sitting on the floor in tears.
It's a
at the end of the song.
By the way, yeah.
And my first thought was, really? Because I wasn't distant from it. We'd been writing it with a microscope, and getting every little detail right, and making sure it works just right. So I didn't see the big picture yet. I mean, I knew it was good, but I didn't know how it would affect. I don't even know that it's great, but I think that it speaks to a lot of people.
Yeah, so the song is "Where Have You Been," by the way, for the audience.
Oh yeah,
got to go check that out. But yeah, it's like. I've noticed that a few times where it's like every once in a while you write something that like when I'm writing stuff, like I know every once in a while, like, oh, this is kind of an emotional song or this is whatever. But yeah, when you're that close to the forest, like you don't see the whole thing.
No.
And yeah, you're worried about structure and you're worried about rhyme schemes and making sure everything works. And then by the time you play the whole thing, you've got so like the person that just walks in and hears the song for the first time and is hit by it emotionally. That first time, you're going to be chasing that dragon for the rest of the thing. Like, you're never going to get that first time hearing that song again. And so those people get the full emotional whack of it on their first time, where you got it in little doses every inch of the way.
We had the ending first.
Right. So so by the time you hear the full thing, you've had 15 reps of hearing this song. So your first time hearing it, you're having a 15th time reaction.
Oh yeah.
But the rest of the audience is getting it all one dose the first time.
You are so right on that, because that's even to this day, that's how songs seem to work. Because we work on something and then you play them out and sometimes you can feel when you're missing the mark.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I got to rewrite this. But when it does hit the mark, you go, oh, this is working.
Right. Yeah.
I love that feeling. It's a good feeling. But I had no idea. I was still pretty young, and I knew it was good. It's not a song I could have written alone at that time, because I hadn't gone through those experiences yet, but I could empathize with it, which I think is the greatest tool in the toolbox of songwriting, is empathy.
Yep.
So that's what I had learned at that point. And I did what I could do to handle that. But the whole thing is a true story that Jon, he is the guy that, if you know the song, he wheels his grandfather in. He's the guy that did that. So when he wheels him in, the old woman hadn't been talking for a couple of weeks, she sat up in bed. She goes, "Where you been?"
Yeah.
And I love that story so much. And I laughed so hard. I go, "Oh, that's so sweet." She was scared. She didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Man, that'd be a good title." And I had that riff, that little descending riff.
Yeah.
I'd been playing it for weeks around the house, but I had nothing for it.
See, okay. I love that you said that, because like every time people ask me like, well, how do you write? Like, what do you start with? And it's like, usually it's a riff that I kick around for a month or 2 months or a year or whatever. And then you click and you're like, oh, that fits that
work.
Thing I've had. For,
it was perfect. I said, Jon, how about this? I went, "Where have you been?" Then I did the da 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 da. And I said, "Where have you been?" Da da da. And he goes, yeah. He sat there for a minute. And boy, this shows you how good writer Jon is. He sat there for, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds. Just like this. Play it again. I said, where have you been? And he says, I've looked for you forever and a day. And I said, where have you been? And he filled in, I'm just not myself when you're. He filled in those. And so we had the anchor of the song.
Man.
And we'd already knew what the ending was because the ending was what happened.
Yeah.
And so we wrote it, we already had the ending. So we just started from the top and worked our way towards it. It was very simple to write after that.
Yeah.
But
once you have the roadmap. And
and that shows you what a good song writing partnership can be like.
Yeah.
I brought what I could to it. He brought that part of it. And of course, it was all his story.
Man.
But the hardest part to write, if you know the song, is the bridge. The bridge is what 4 lines and 60 years had to go by. And that was a challenge. And every time I sing it to this day, I get to that point, and I try not to get myself out of the song when I'm playing it for people because I want to really live it and perform it for people. But I get to that bridge and I go, man, we wrote the shit out of that bridge. Because it's really hard to make that much time go by in that short amount of time.
Yeah, and not make it feel like a record screech.
Like it's like this.
A cut to.
Exactly. And we pulled it off. And that, I'll never forget because we finished that bridge, and that's when his publisher had come in right after we finished that bridge. Because I still wasn't sure. I didn't like putting the word hospital in there.
Yeah.
But he looked at me, Jon looked at me, he said, well, Don, that's where it was a hospital. I said, I know, but it's a hard word to sing. But we figured out a way to do it. And of course, by the time Kathy sang it, Kathy Mattea, she handled that word. Well, she's Kathy Mattea.
Right. Yeah. Man. So is it kind of a slow burn from there? Like, so you had experienced the steps of success, like up to that. It's like, okay, you co-write it with an awesome co-writer. You've done that before. Oh, it gets picked up. Oh, you've done that before, but okay, this is still good news, but like we're in charted territory here. And then it's like, hey, the song's doing really well. Like, okay, at what point do you kind of achieve escape velocity on things you've already experienced before, leading up to, holy shit, we're going to the Grammys? Like, what's the?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, man. I was going through so much at the time personally. I had a newborn. My daughter Jessie was born in '88. My wife and I at the time were going through problems. So there was a lot of other things on my mind. And I didn't, that's the only thing about that time that was difficult for me because I mean, as far as recalling it goes, because I really had other things way more important going on in my life.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I wonder, if that's like it makes it more of a blur. Like there's more,
It does. And there were so many things that were so much more important that if those things hadn't been going on, I probably could have enjoyed it in a different way, but it wasn't, it was exciting. And I'm glad, of course, for my career, I'm glad it happened.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't get to experience it the way that some people might have experienced.
Right. That. Yeah. It kind of took the edge off of it.
It did. Yeah. But you know what? It was fine. It's fantastic. I couldn't believe it. I'll tell you that each time we won another award on TV, it was like, really? Yeah. And the next one was like, are you sure? And then by the time the Grammy came around, I was like, well, I can't believe this.
Yeah. Like, oh man. Yeah.
Well, the first time we won the ACM Awards out in Los Angeles. And my friend Jack Daniels was in the band Highway 101. Oh, okay. So if you watch the clip to this day, you can see them opening the thing, and he gets real excited before they even name what it is, because he worked with my dad for years.
Oh man!
So anyway, we won that, and when we got backstage, Carl Perkins is backstage.
Oh wow!
And he's like 6'4", so he puts his arms around both of us. He goes, "Boys, if that hadn't been voted Song of the Year, it's still Song of the Year."
Oh, man.
And it was Carl Perkins, man. Right, yeah. And I'm going, this is so, it's just really a weird feeling. You go backstage and cameras are going off there asking you questions and everything, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And you go back to your hotel and you go, what just happened? And I figured that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Then we got nominated for CMAs, which I went, oh, that's really great. Honestly, at that point, I just didn't know. The idea of winning awards and stuff wasn't the thing that I had
Right.
considered.
That wasn't the goal when you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh yeah, maybe someday I'll win a Grammy, sure. But I didn't really think about it. And with that song, I never thought about it. I thought, well, I really like this song, but it's kind of a,
Yeah, it's a slow burn to success versus like,
So I didn't think it would go, and it was not a big hit on the radio. I mean, it went to like 15 or a top 10 in the charts or something.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a huge money maker or a big airplay thing, but it got a lot of respect from the community, and I was thrilled about that.
Man.
So we go to the CMAs, it's the same thing. We get there, and one of my heroes, Ray Stevens, is the guy that comes out to read the winners off, and we go up there and we go backstage with Ray, and he gives us a big old hug, and I'm like, Ray Stevens, what? Because when I was a kid, I watched him on TV all the time. He was like he still is one of my heroes. And so I thought, well, that was that. That's about the end of it. I didn't even think about Grammys. Then someone started saying, hey, I wonder if you guys are going to win a Grammy. I said, well, yeah, but you got to go through a lot of hoops for that, right? So, but luckily, Kathy was at the top of her game.
I was going to say, I'll say Kathy went through a bunch of hoops for it.
She did all the heavy work because she was winning all the Singer of the Year awards. She was a priority on the label, so all that stuff added up to us getting votes that we might not have gotten. And not only that, but right on the heels of her thing with Where Have You Been, right just a few months after that, Garth Brooks was the biggest thing in the world. If Garth's thing would have happened just a few months earlier, the Dance would have easily won Song of the Year for the Grammy, which is still my favorite song, Tony Arata. And so I thought for sure when I heard The Dance, I remember hearing it when Tony sang it at the Bluebird before it was ever a hit. And I thought, well, that's the greatest song I've ever heard. So I thought we didn't have a chance at the Grammy. Yeah. But the stars lined up for Kathy and for us. And I think you were talking, and we talked about this earlier, it's mostly just pure
luck and
just showing up. But you have to show up. You still have to show up to win.
Yeah, what do they say? It's success is the combination of luck and readiness. Like, you have to be. Yeah,
it's truly that. Like Harlan Howard, he would say, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's some truth to that, but not always, because I've worked really hard at this, and a lot of things fall through. But every once in a while, something like that comes through.
Yeah, I wonder. So from that angle, then, like, because obviously it's great to win awards and stuff, and that it's great to just know that happened.
Yeah.
But I bet it's like, so what if you had to pick one feeling, right? Like you only get to experience one of these two things. You get to be on stage accepting a Grammy and you get to hold the thing and say thanks to everybody. Right. You can't do both of these. You get to pick one. You get that, or Carl Perkins meets you backstage and was like, that was Song of the Year. Like, even if it didn't win.
You don't forget that. That's it. I mean, it's like when Harlan came in and said that, you're writing a good song now. Or when Bobby Braddock says, you want to write a song with me.
Yeah.
And having Carl Perkins do that, that's the stuff that rings to you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of feeling.
Yeah. Because I would imagine too, like, you said like you have a lot going on. It's like, so maybe it took the edge off of like winning the award. I bet it didn't take the edge off the Carl Perkins experience.
No, it didn't.
Right, yeah.
And he let us know. And I remembered those things.
Yeah.
My Grammy experience was even more of a blur. I went up to New York and it was, I don't know, I guess it's usually in LA, but they had it in New York that year. And the only thing that I really recall, I can't remember all who played. I think Aerosmith and Bob Dylan, but I remember meeting Shaka Khan. In person. That was really fun.
Man.
That was my highlight for me. Everything else, I just remember. And our thing, and the reason I think I say that is because our part of the show was the pre-televised part, where they would have a lot of awards. There's a ton of Grammy Awards they give out. And before the big show starts, they have a couple of hours of the, whatever, the bluegrass, the classical producer, whatever award. And we go up and get those awards. And that's when our Song of the Year thing happened.
Gotcha.
And I'll tell you this, I do remember this. This was really exciting. I didn't know it at the time that it was exciting, but right before we won our award, Alison Krauss won her first Grammy.
Oh, man.
And she was just a kid, and I was already a fan. But she won her first Grammy, and we won ours right after. So we're backstage with her. And after that, of course, she just took off.
Yeah.
You know.
What was her first Grammy for? What,
I can't remember what it was, if it was like bluegrass album or female. It was something like that.
But
it was the stuff they didn't televise back then.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was really exciting to see her start at the same time. You know?
Well,
so I do recall that, and I do recall that, especially the Grammys, is after you win and you go backstage. Oh, here's what you do. This is something that you guys might like. You go up on stage. They hand you this brick of a thing, man. Wow. And you go backstage, and they take it away from you. And they go, "You'll be getting it in 8 weeks."
Yeah.
And I go, "Okay." So it's just for looks. And now, so when I got it home, I got it in the mail and everything. I went to dust it one day with a baby diaper. Shows you where I was in my lifetime. And the little horn just went bing, fell off. Because they're made out of back then they were made out of the same shit that your baseball trophies were made out of.
Yeah.
You know? And it just, I
mean it's not a solid gold horn, Don? Like what?
But now they're cool, because I've seen the ones people get now. They look like the fake one they gave us the first time, but they're really nice.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I actually called them. I don't know. I didn't give a shit. I just put it on top like that.
Yeah.
But somebody said, you should call them. And I know maybe 10 years ago or so, I called and said, "Hey, listen, I got the Grammy, how do you guys replace this?" "Oh, sure." "You have the box that came in?" I said, "Yeah." So just put it in the box, send it back to us with a check for $500. I would, I'm not doing that.
We'll just keep dusting the broken one.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's much more fun that way.
Well, and now too, like that's a great thing.
It's much better. It's much better. They go, "Is that your grip?"
Yeah. You just have the horn laying next to it. Oh man,
that's funny, man.
There's a metaphor in there.
Oh no, you know what? You're exactly right, and I think that's why I've never really pursued it.
Yeah.
Because you're exactly right. There is a metaphor, and it's important to remember that so you can keep your feet planted. You know, it really, it's not about that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky again because of the way my father taught me to be humble about it, and taught me that it was a lot of work, and you had to be a craftsman, and it's not about being a star. But if that happens, it's fine. But don't worry about that. That kind of pathway prepared me for all that stuff a lot better than I would have handled it without.
Man, yeah. So another song I want to ask, and I think I've told you this story before, but and I actually called my mom about this the other day because has anybody seen Amy?
Oh yeah.
So first of all, when did you write that song? Like, what was the?
We would have written that not long after we wrote Where Have You Been. I wrote that with Jon Vezner as well.
Okay.
And it would have been probably around 90, something like that.
So I in my head, I was like, oh yeah, this is a song that my parents had around that like, because it was in my head as a, floating around like lyrically.
Yeah.
And I remember I really liked that song, but I couldn't remember where I ever found it. Like, and then I asked my mom, I was talking to my mom about it and I brought it and she goes, "I don't think I've ever heard that song." I was like, really? I thought I got it from you. Like, this was a childhood memory of something, So to this day, I don't know how the lyrics of that song ended up in my brain, in 2016 when I was going to college and I was doing forestry classes and we had a girl named Amy in our class she was a pistol. Like it was crazy. Amy was kind of because she was always into something. So we go on a hike and like one time she just disappears from the group. She shows back up 2 hours later. She had cut her jeans off in the shorts. Man. Her makeup is everywhere because she'd gone swimming in the river or something. I was like, oh, there goes Amy. And then one time she came back, same thing, disappeared from the group. She comes back a couple hours later with a red-tailed hawk wrapped in a sweatshirt.
Oh my God.
She had like found, had a broken wing.
Oh man.
She's like, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean, what do we do?
I like this girl.
So that became the joke. It's like, has anybody seen Amy? So I'd be walking down the trail, just, has anybody seen Amy? And nobody else knew what I was talking about. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a song from, So when there was that song, and then All Kinds of Kinds was another one that I like. It was my favorite song off of that Miranda Lambert album.
Oh, thank you.
And I loved it from the jump. I remember I was on Highway 80 in the middle of nowhere, like out in the desert in Nevada. We were going to, I think we were going to Glacier National Park, I think. And it was my wife and I did a road trip before I left for the Coast Guard. And I remember that song coming on. There's like nothing going. I mean, it's just desert everywhere. And the line, Thomas was a congressman with closets full of skeletons and dresses that he wore on Friday night. And I was just like, what is that? And it was immediate. I think I tortured my wife. I think I replayed that song like 10 times.
Oh, man.
In the next few miles.
Well, I'm honored, man.
It was, and then like when I found out that you had written it, I was like, oh my God, these two songs are like, they were like, it was two songs that I really loved that I had no idea
man.
that they were yours at all.
That's really neat that happened because, like Kismet or whatever you want to call it, all the people that told me about you and your music, it all added up to where I go, well, I better check this guy George out because everyone keeps telling me. And it just, isn't that something how those things come together?
Oh, it's,
Yeah, music is kind of interesting that way. It connects us in a way.
There's a magic there.
And it happens all the time. This is not the only time. I mean, it's been happening all my life.
Yeah,
it's kept me alive. Is what it's done.
And it's for me. Sometimes it's always the stuff that you didn't expect. It's always a song that you wrote 10 years ago that like loops its way back around, and then you found somebody that I really love that, whatever. And it's like,
they take care of you. I always tell people the only thing you can control in what we do is the moment you're creating that song. Yeah. That you can control that. Once you're done with that, it's out of your, hands.
Actually, I'm going through a little bit of that. I'll tell you after the show. Like a song recently hit somebody that like called me out of the blue.
Oh man. It's nice when that happens, man.
It's
and they sometimes they happen in bigger circles where in this case with All Kinds of Kinds, we'd written it a good 10 years or 15 years before Miranda recorded it.
Wow.
We wrote it and she was probably like 10 years old, probably still in school. We wrote it but I wrote it with my friend Philip Coleman. That's really important to know because it was his title. He came in and I said, I just got this all kinds of kinds. It takes all kinds of kinds to do things. And we wrote the song and I really liked it. My wife loved it immediately. She had said, that's a special song. When you do it all the time, it's sometimes hard for the songwriter to understand when they've got a good one.
Yeah.
At least it is for me.
No, same, yeah.
Yeah, and so he played it for his publisher, a guy named Frank Liddell. Great ears on this guy, great producer. And he loved it. He said, I don't know who can cut this, guys, but I think this is one of the best songs you've all ever written. And he just kept it in his hip pocket. And it wasn't a few years later, he said, this is a young girl I've been doing some demos on. Her name's Miranda. She's real good. And we're just, you got to listen to what she's doing. And I said, okay, sure. And it was a few years later, all of a sudden, it's like, she's on the radio. I think that's that girl that Frank was talking about. And then, I met, of all people, Bobby Braddock, full circle here. Let's talk about things coming around. Yeah. Precious Bobby, my brother, he called and asked if I wanted to go to his induction to the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, man.
And I said, yeah, of course. And so he only got to invite a small amount of people because they inducted Reba that time and 2 or 3 other people. So they only have a few seats that you can have.
Yeah.
And then different artists come out and perform the songs that were hits for those people. So for Bobby's, he co-wrote with Ray Van Hoy. He co-wrote "Golden Ring" that George and Tammy did, which is like my second favorite country song. Maybe. Anyway, so in the middle of it, Bobby was surprised by the fact that Blake Shelton and Miranda came from either side of the stage and started singing "Golden Ring," and the whole place went crazy.
Man.
And Bobby didn't know what was going to happen. And they had just gotten married.
That's
at the time.
Amazing. Yeah.
So they came out and sang "Golden Ring" for Bobby for his induction. So that after the show's all over, we're hanging out, shaking hands, hanging out, and Blake comes up and he goes, "Hey Don, I've seen once those guys get really famous, they're in another stratosphere." Yeah. It was great to see him. He gave me a big hug. We used to hang and do shows together and stuff. The Bluebird. So he gave me a big hug. He goes, "Oh man," he goes, he said, "Have you met Miranda yet?" I go, "No." He goes, "She's got something to tell you." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Miranda, come here. This is Don Henry." And she goes, "Oh," and she gave me a big hug. This cute little girl. Really energy. I mean, you could just vibrating off it. She goes, "We're recording one of your songs tomorrow."
Oh,
and
man.
I'm in my mind, I'm going, okay, she thinks I'm somebody else. And she goes, "Are you sure?" She goes, "Yeah, all kinds of kinds." I went, "Yep, that's fine." And I said, well, I'm really excited. This is great. And this is the best news I've had in years. Yeah. And so I should have stayed because there's a little party and stuff. Right. I was too nervous. I got in the car. I called my wife first. I said, you're not going to believe what's just happening. I told her the whole story. Then I called Philip Coleman, who's the co-writer on the song. I called him, Philip, is there something you're supposed to tell me? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, your publisher, Frank, the producer of Miranda Lambert. Yeah. I said, isn't there something you want to tell me? He goes, no. Well, I just talked to Miranda Lambert. She's recording our song tomorrow. She goes, what? So he calls Frank, and Frank says, well, I just didn't want you guys to get your hopes up if she decided to pass on. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to say anything.
That might be the coolest way to find out, though.
It was. Yeah. It was. So she recorded it, and to our delight, it came out great. Frank called and said, man, it's going to be the opening track of the album. It turned out so good. But Don, you know those harmonies you did on the demo? You got to come in and sing those harmonies. And I said, that sounds good, man. Yeah. So I show up at the studio, and Chuck Ainsley and Glenn Worf, who were both part of Chuck engineered all those Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler records. Oh, and Glenn Worf plays bass with Mark Knopfler on all the shit on the road.
Wow.
And so they're old friends too, because they work in Nashville. And I'm in there with them and with Frank Liddell, who's just produced hits for everybody. And I'm in there by myself stacking these harmonies and I started to do it real tame at first because I thought he goes, Don, he pushes the talk back button. He goes, Don, I want those parts you did on the demo. I said, okay. And they're real Beatlesque kind of parts. Yeah. And I stacked them, all these parts, and they were in there laughing. They were loving it. I got back in the studio, and we all listened to the playback, and it was like a wall of Dawn. And I was so excited. I thought, geez, this is going to be. So he calls me a couple days later. He says, it's all good. There's a little bit of bad news, but it's mostly all good. You're still the opening track. You're still on the record and everything. He said, but I took it into the people at the Nashville office, and they go, that sounds a little too Beatlesque. and he said, well, let me fix it. He goes, so I don't know who the guy was. He hired a background singer who had a little twang to his voice.
Okay. I thought that was Blake Shelton's voice.
I don't think it is.
I see, because at the time when I heard it, it sounds like Blake Shelton.
It could be. I don't know.
And I was like, well, I assume because if it's not him, they got a dead ringer for Blake Shelton to come in and sing that part.
Got someone to sing a third or something in there. He goes, and he'd mix it up in there, so it didn't sound like just a wall of me being Beatlesque.
Right.
But you could still hear my voices. But he goes, I had to put that other guy in there because they thought it sounded a little too pop. I said, no. Hey man, I'm thrilled. You can take my voice off. I don't give a shit. Yeah. And so that was what happened with that. And it was exciting. But you know what? I never heard it on the radio. It was on the radio a lot. But I went on a 8-week tour with my friend Craig Carruthers during the summer that came out. We toured all over the country, and he kept pushing the buttons because he wanted to hear my song. And I was like, no, they're not going to. It's not even going to be a hit. And then he kept pushing him, and we never heard it. Never heard it. After 8 weeks, got about 50 miles from home, from Nashville. He says, I'm trying one more time. He goes, clicking around the station, and we hear, vroom, that's the latest by Miranda Lambert. and that was it. And I went, and we looked at each other and went, we heard a tail end of it.
Yeah. Still counts. So yeah. Oh man.
So that was really exciting. I was really thrilled about that. That probably is the most known song that I've been part of because Miranda sings at all her shows. I have people calling me, say, man, she sang your song again tonight.
Oh man, that's cool.
And because it's a song of unity, and one of the best compliment we got from that song was that she had reported that she told Frank, I like it because it sounds like something I would have said, I would have written. And I think she's a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
So to get on a Miranda Lambert is not an easy task. We were very fortunate. That's thanks to Frank Liddell and, of course, Philip Coleman, who's a genius singer. He's written a lot of great hits for a lot of people.
Yeah, like that. And I wasn't just blowing smoke. That is my favorite Miranda Lambert song, though.
Thank you. I've had other people tell me that. I'm so excited to know that.
Yeah, she's great. That's my favorite one.
I'll tell you one of my best. Mattea Berg, Strawberry Wine. She's written a lot of big hits too. That's just one of them. That's classic. But she and I grew up together at Tree Publishing as kids, so we were like brother and sister. We know each other really well. Okay. She's one of my greatest friends. Well, she doesn't text very often, but one day I get a text from her. And it's a video text, and I play it, and she's at a Miranda Lambert concert, and everybody's got their phones on, and they're doing this all kinds of kinds.
Yeah.
And she sent it to me, and I went, oh, that made my day.
Yeah, what a feeling that's got.
It was. I have not seen her do it in person, but to get that little video,
but just to know,
oh, what a thrill!
Your work is capable of getting 50,000 people synced up, waving phones.
And it's an all-inclusive song. It's about people. We're all different, man. Yeah. And it says something positive in a time when it's hard to, and it said it through country radio. Are you kidding me?
Like this. I know. Like I said, it was
luck, pure luck.
Well, no, I just mean like the fact that like there's a verse in there about a cross-dressing congressman, and everybody loves it. Nobody had like a weird reaction to it. And I don't know if it says something about the state of the world. Where we're like, that happens all the time. Like that's come on, this is where it goes. Have you been to Washington D.C.? It's of course there is.
Well, it was just a thrill for that to happen. It's actually, I'll never forget that tour though. I will say this with Craig Carruthers, even though we didn't hear it on the radio, about halfway through that tour, we're playing a little show with about, 50 people there. And there's in the back, I see this person about, maybe in her 40s. And then her daughter's with her. And the daughter looks bored to death. In our concert, a couple of old guys up there playing folk songs, whatever. We're playing our songs as we've written. And I go into all kinds of kinds. And the daughter goes, and I can see her go to her mom like that. I go, and I'm going, that's so great. A young person that I would never have touched in, and with any of the other songs I had, because of having someone like Miranda spread the news.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get these young listeners to pay attention, and it made me feel so good, man, to see that.
It's so cool, man. Like that's, like I said, that song in particular, I feel like, because and that song has the legs to stick around for a long time. Like it's not locked into, there's no current event in there that's like going to go by and be hard to remember as a reference. It's not riding any particular wave.
That's right. It might even be more appropriate now than ever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's just, I think that one, when you think about songs that are standards that have like stuck around and, that one could do it.
Well, that'll be all due to Miranda because she still does it in her shows. I know a young man who plays guitar in her band, and they still do it all the time. And so to me, that's why that song will live on.
Well, I think it's probably both. It's probably going to live on because they do it all the time, but they also do it all the time because it's the kind of song that can be around forever.
It's the kind of song that even though I haven't heard it performed, everyone goes, oh, people sing your song. Yeah. Because, like I'll be in the Nashville airport or somewhere like that, and there'll be some singer-songwriter in the corner doing cover songs for tips, and it'll be like The Gambler or something. Yeah. And I'll call Don Schlitz or text him and go, they're playing your song. Or I'll make a video and send it to him, Because for us, no matter how big a hits we have, it's like when that happens at the littlest moment, it's just like a thrill. You get this rush. It's like, they're playing the song I wrote, man.
Yeah, it's like an echo that you caught up with years later.
There's nothing like it, man. Yeah, that's except
incredible.
For if Ray Charles records one of your songs.
Right, yeah.
That'd be the only other thing that's like it.
Man, that's just fantastic, man. Well, Don, I love you to death for coming on the show.
Thank you,
and
George.
I know I don't even know how long we've been going, but I appreciate you so much, man.
Oh, hey, man, when I come back through town, we'll do part 2.
Absolutely. Anytime you're in town, I'm happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Sure, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next week. Thanks.